Why do people keep disrespecting you? Because you let them believe they can. Today, I will show you how to kill disrespect. Not with blind rage, with the strategic mind of a ruler who commands fear and respect in equal measure. Listen closely. Disrespect does not simply fall from the sky. It is not random. It is calculated, even if unconsciously. When someone disrespects you, they are making a judgment about your power, about your standing, about your ability to retaliate. They do not disrespect those they fear. They do not disrespect those they admire. They disrespect those they believe they can step on without consequence. That belief, whether true or not, is what creates the breeding ground for their behavior. You must understand this: humans are opportunistic. They test limits the way fire tests dry wood. It spreads where it finds weakness, and weakness is rarely about physical strength or wealth. Weakness in the eyes of others is a story they tell themselves about you. A story you may have accidentally written. Maybe it's the way you speak, apologizing for existing before anyone has accused you of wrongdoing. Maybe it's the way you hesitate, second-guessing yourself while they are decisive. Maybe it's the way you allow small slight to pass because you think patience will earn you respect. It won't. It never has. Patience without power is not virtue. It is permission for others to ignore you. Ask yourself, how do they see you? Because disrespect begins with how they see you, not who you truly are. The tragedy and the beauty is that perception can be manipulated. They don't need to know your entire truth, your authority. They only need to believe the version of you that you choose to show. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He wrote that it is not necessary to be truly powerful, but it is necessary to appear powerful. Appearance is everything because humans act on what they perceive, not on what is real. If they think you are strong, they behave as if you are strong. If they think you are weak, they behave as if you are weak. And here is the cruel reality. Once they have placed you in the category of weak, they will test you again and again. They will poke, they will prod, they will disrespect you repeatedly to confirm their belief. Every small act of tolerance on your part becomes a green light for more aggression on theirs. This is why killing disrespect begins with destroying the image of weakness. You cannot convince them with speeches or declarations of intent. They won't believe you. People rarely believe words when those words come from someone they have already labeled as prey. What they believe is presence. They believe posture. They believe behavior that signals without saying a word. I am not the one to be trifled with. Consider how a lion enters a room versus how a dog enters a room. A lion does not announce its power, yet everyone feels it. Why? Because the lion embodies certainty. It does not shrink to make others comfortable, does not fidget to fill the silence. It does not explain its right to exist. It simply is. And that his commands respect. The dog, on the other hand, wags and pleads for approval, and in doing so, teaches everyone exactly how to treat it. You must ask yourself, what signals am I giving that invite disrespect? Because whether you are aware of it or not, you are always broadcasting a message about your place in the hierarchy. Disrespectful people are merely reacting to the message they see. Change the message and you change their behavior. And do not confuse arrogance with authority. Your arrogance is loud insecurity. Authority is quiet certainty. You do not need to shout to change perception. You need consistency. Consistency in how you carry yourself, how you respond to challenges, how you set boundaries. Every moment you allow disrespect to slide tells them you are willing to be diminished. Every moment you hold your ground tells them they miscalculated. The goal is not to convince them of your worth. The goal is to remove the idea from their minds that disrespect is an option. When you kill the perception of weakness, you kill the seed from which disrespect grows. And that begins long before confrontation. It begins with how you move through the world when no one is watching, because eventually the world always watches. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to explain yourself, to clarify your position, to make them understand that they were wrong to treat you that way. Explanations are the language of the powerless. Power does not explain. Power does not negotiate for recognition. Power shows itself in ways that cannot be ignored. And when it shows itself, the conversation ends without a single word being spoken. Think about this. When you see a storm coming, does it explain its intentions? Does it pause to tell you how much rain it will bring, how loud the thunder will sound, how violent the winds might be? No, it arrives. It makes itself felt. And in its presence, just your behavior, you close your windows, you seek shelter. Power works the same way. It does not request permission to exist. It makes its existence undeniable. This is where most people fail. They believe that by talking enough, by reasoning enough, they will somehow win the respect of those who disrespect them. Disrespect does not listen to reason. It listens to consequence. People respect what can affect them. They respect what is weight. And weight is shown through action. Imagine a ruler whose people begin to rebel. He does not write them a letter begging for their loyalty. He does not deliver a speech explaining why they should love him. He sends a message that cannot be mistaken, a strategic move that shows the cost of defiance. It may be an act of generosity so overwhelming that loyalty becomes profitable, or it may be an act of punishment so precise that rebellion becomes unthinkable. Either way, the message is not in the words. It is in the demonstration. You must learn to think the same way. When you are disrespected, the solution is not to shout louder or to demand recognition. The solution is to make it clear through what you do that disrespect carries a price. This does not always mean aggression. Power is more creative than that. Sometimes it means withdrawing access to yourself because scarcity creates value. Sometimes it means delivering results so undeniable that those who doubted you are forced to rewrite their opinion of you. And sometimes, yes, it means responding with force so calculated that no one dares to test you again. Machiavelli understood that fear and respect are not opposites. They are siblings. People respect what they're to lose or fear to provoke, and they fear what they know can act decisively. That is why power must be seen. Hidden strength is admirable in theory, useless in practice. If no one knows you have it, no one behaves differently because of it. There is another truth here. The timing of your demonstration matters. React too slowly, and they assume you are weak. React too emotionally, and they assume you are unstable. But react with precision, measured, deliberate, and unavoidable. And you create a story they will tell for you. That story spreads faster than any explanation ever could. Ask yourself, what do my actions teach people about how to treat me? Because you are always teaching people how to treat you, whether you intend to or not. If you fold under pressure, you teach them that pressure works. If you tolerate small slights, you teach them that they can grow bolder. If you retaliate without thought, you teach them that you can be baited. But if you move like a strategist, calculating, deliberate, and undeniable, you teach them something entirely different. You teach them that disrespect has consequences they cannot afford. Power demonstrated is power remembered. People forget speeches, but they do not forget moments that alter their reality. And when your actions speak with that kind of clarity, you never have to explain yourself. They explain you to each other. Disrespect is not only what happens in front of you, it is what happens when you are not in the room. It lives in whispers, in stories, in the way people describe you when your back is turned. And make no mistake, how they speak about you determines how they treat you. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone in power is not just taken, it is performed. It is maintained by shaping the story people about you until that story becomes unquestionable truth. If you do not control your narrative, someone else will, authority, and they will not be kind about it. People create narratives to justify their behavior, and disrespect needs justification. They will convince themselves and others that you deserve less, that you are smaller, that you are unworthy of serious treatment. And once that narrative spreads, disrespect becomes easy for them, almost natural, because they have convinced themselves that you earned it. This is why killing disrespect requires more than punishing those who cross you. It requires building a presence so strong, so carefully constructed, that even your enemies hesitate to speak against you. You must ask yourself, what is the story they believe about me? And more importantly, what story do I want them to believe? Controlling the narrative is not about lying. It is about selection. You not show everything. You show what serves your power. Machiavelli advised rulers to appear merciful, faithful, human, religious, and upright, but to be prepared to act in the opposite way when necessary. The appearance was the narrative. The reality was strategy. People rarely dig deeper than the surface, and those who do are silenced by the weight of the story you have crafted. Think of reputation as armor and as weapon. Armor, because it shields you from attacks. Weapon, because it strikes before you even lift a hand. A powerful reputation makes disrespect dangerous for others. If people believe you are competent, bold, and unshakable, they hesitate before challenging you, even if they do not know you personally. They are not responding to you. They are responding to the story they've been told about you. So how do you shape that story? You do it through symbols and actions that reinforce the image you want to project. If you want to be seen as decisive, you make decisions quickly and stand by them. If you want to be seen as unbreakable, you do not let setback turn into public spectacles. Every move you make, every word you speak, every silence you allow adds to the narrative. Even what you withhold is part of the story. Mystery, when controlled, becomes a source of fascination and fear. But here's the key: consistency. A narrative falls apart when it is unstable. People lose faith in stories that contradict themselves. If today you project dominance and tomorrow you crumble under pressure, they will remember the crumble, not the dominance. To control your narrative, you must commit to it fully, even when it costs you comfort, even when it tempts you to explain yourself. Explanations weaken narratives because they suggest uncertainty. The strongest stories are the ones that require no defense. And understand this: controlling the narrative is not just about building yourself up. It is also about controlling how others are perceived in relation to you. Those who disrespect you often do so because they believe they can gain from diminishing you. Shift that balance. Make it so that disrespecting you makes them look small, foolish, or reckless. Let the audience, the people watching silently from the shadows, see that those who cross you never rise from it unchanged. This is why rulers throughout history used theater as much as they used force. Public rituals, grand gestures, decisive responses. All of it fed the narrative. They knew that most people never see the inner workings of power. They only see the story, and they act according to the story they believe. You must treat your life the same way. Every encounter, every conflict, every display of strength or restraint is a piece of propaganda for who you are. Build the narrative with intention. Repeat it until it becomes unshakable. Because when the story about you becomes stronger than the stories told against you, disrespect suffocates under the weight of belief. When someone disrespects you, your blood rises. You feel the heat of rage, the pull of impulse, the desire to strike back immediately and make them regret it. But here's the truth: emotion-driven reactions rarely kill disrespect. They feed it, because an emotional outburst tells the world that someone else controls you. Precision, on the other hand, tells the world that you control everything, including yourself. Power is not proven in how loudly you roar. It is proven in how deliberately you act. Those who command respect do not stumble into retaliation. They design it. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must learn how not to be good when necessity demands it. But he also warned that rashness is the ruin of great men. To kill disrespect, you cannot simply act. You must act in a way that becomes impossible to forget. Think of disrespect as a challenge to your authority. The offender wants to test you. They want to see if you will crumble, lash out blindly, or remain exactly who you claim to be. Your response writes the script for how everyone else will treat you afterward. Respond too weakly, and you invite more challenges. Respond too wildly, and you create chaos that swallows your authority whole. But respond with precision, and you create order. An order that serves you. What does precision look like? It begins with restraint, not weakness, but calculated patience. You watch. You measure. You learn what truly matters to your opponent. You wait until your response not only punishes their action, but reshapes the lesson for everyone watching. Because make no mistake, there is always an audience. People are constantly observing how power operates even when they pretend not to. And when the moment comes to act, your strike must be clean. No wasted movement, no unnecessary theatrics. A precise strike lands exactly where it needs to, with exactly the amount of force required to make disrespect costly. Sometimes it's public, a demonstration that burns an example into the memory of everyone nearby. Other times it's invisible, a quiet move that leaves the offender realizing, too late, The ground they stood on no longer belongs to them. Both methods work as long as they are deliberate. Precision also means proportionality. Not all disrespect deserves the same response. Treating every slight as a war makes you predictable and exhausting to deal with. But choosing moments carefully makes you dangerous in a way that keeps others guessing. When they don't know which boundary will trigger the storm, they start avoiding all boundaries altogether. That is when control shifts in your favor. Consider how great leaders handle betrayal. The foolish leader lashes out instantly, often punishing the wrong people and destabilizing their rule. The wise leader collects evidence, builds alliances, and then strikes in such a way that the traitor is removed and everyone else learns so. This is what happens when you miscalculate. The lesson becomes larger than the act itself. Disrespect doesn't just end, it becomes unthinkable. But there's something deeper here. Precision isn't just about what you do to others. It's about what you refuse to let happen to yourself. When you act with precision, you protect your energy from being hijacked by emotion. Anger becomes a tool, not a master. Hatred becomes fuel, not a cage. You use these feelings as signals, as information, as part of the strategy. You never let them write the strategy for you. This is why Machiavelli admired those who could be both feared and respected without becoming slaves to their own wrath. Fear and respect are not built through chaos. They are built through calculated impact. And calculated impact only comes from thinking several moves ahead. Before you strike, you must ask yourself, what do I want them to believe about me after this is over? Because your response to disrespect is not just about ending the moment. It is about shaping the narrative that follows. A precise strike does more than punish, it educates. It teaches those around you that your actions are intentional, that your power is disciplined, your boundaries are not to be tested casually. And over time, this reputation becomes a shield. People stop trying to provoke you because they know that if they do, the consequences will not only arrive, they will arrive in a way they could never predict and never escape. Disrespect survives on weakness, grows through inaction, and thrives wherever power is misunderstood. To kill it, you must dismantle it at every level. You destroy the illusion of weakness by shaping how the world perceives you. You stop wasting breath on explanations and let your actions speak with a weight words can never carry. You seize control of the narrative so that others tell your story, not their own twisted version of it. And when it becomes necessary to strike, you do it with the cold precision of someone who does not merely react to the world, but bends it to their will. Killing disrespect is not a single act. It is a discipline, a way of moving through life that teaches everyone, friends, enemies, and silent observers alike, that respect is not something they grant you. It is something you command.